Evening all, welcome back to Rock Base. So what we're going to look at today is, I think, some quite exciting things. If there's two mods that I'd recommend you use, it's what I'm going to show you here. Now I've slightly sped this up. I know it's just because there's so much to show you. But this is a new mod that I'm really excited about, and I guess I used it in the last video, but I just want to talk a bit about it. Is the Gantry's mod. Now one of the biggest problems I have with Space Engineers is it's so difficult to get up and down levels. Now I know you've got the 2x1 ramps and stairs, but I want a 1x1, and that's it. Those things there, they are bloody brilliant. I just love them so much because they work and they're part of the Gantry pack. I think the Gantry pack is one of the finest packs that I've ever used, and I just recommend it. I really would, because it's not just a series of stairs, 1x1 stairs, which in itself is awesome. I haven't finished that, don't worry. I know it's stupid, it doesn't make sense. But the point of the Gantry pack is it gives you the ability to do this sort of stuff. So if you see here, it's all basically these things. You have the ability to then put, I guess, handle rails and Gantry thingy-jigs and doobry whatsits and whatever. But it just makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's like, look at that. So by having this kind of walkway, we actually have a secure walkway because we've put little barriers on the side of it. I know it's so simple, but A, it looks good. Let's not forget that. That's actually pretty important. And B, it just works. It really does make a lot of sense. So as we walk around there, that just works, doesn't it? It's brilliant. I love it. We won't worry about that. We'll come back and do maybe the whole thing in Gantry at some point, because I like the idea of it being the externals of a base. But it just, I don't know, it gives it character, doesn't it? And I love it so much. So the next thing to really kind of focus on is, I guess, this kind of access entry port. But before we do, let's just plant a tree. I don't know either. The fact is there's a tree mod, and it's pretty cool, actually. I do like it. It makes me smile. I think anything that gives me kind of a chuckle, I'm definitely a big fan of. And as you can see, this tree is currently felled. So let's just get it. There we go. And that's it. That's a tree. Yeah, it's a tree. Deal with it, bro. It looks good, doesn't it? It looks good. I like it. We end up... Oh, so there we go. So we get meteor shower inbound. Now, post the comments. Did it always do that? I don't remember it doing that. Ever. I just remember it happening, and it was always very annoying. But either way, maybe it's a mod I've downloaded, I don't know. But either way, I think I'm quite amazed at how good this is. As you can see, my base is not weathering it too well. I think we've only got 3 turrets, is that right? So you can see. But again, it's unlikely that we're going to take massive damage at this stage. Even the solar panels, even my sign, it's not the end of the world if they get bashed. So, we'll deal with it. But it's coming together quite nicely. I do like this. I'm getting quite excited with this. Here we go. So again, just another great use of the Gantry mod. There we go. Lovely stuff. I really do recommend that one mod more than probably any other. With probably the exception of the station hallway mod, which we'll show you in just a minute. Just to stick with the video, we'll show you it. Because I think the station piece element of it just makes everything feel so much more cool. And again, I do wonder if they're going to include these kind of blocks in the vanilla version, because they are so good. And that's them there. Basically, it's all the the different versions of stations. I think exactly the issue you may have with them is that they don't cost anything to build. They just appear. So you can't use them in you can use them in survival, but they just appear, if that makes sense. Which can be slightly annoying. I do accept. So I was thinking maybe we'll put it there. No, it's probably a bit too close. So I think what we end up doing is putting it about there. Now, this is going to be difficult, because what we want it to be doing is, as I walk around the surface of this moonoid, I then want to be able just to jump down here, and then gravity immediately pull me to the side. Does that make sense? But when you see how cool they are, I think you'll be impressed. So there we go. So that's our first one there. So this will be like that, and you just walk over it, and then it'll immediately drag you down, and you'll start walking down it. And it works. Trust me, we get it working. A bit of sweat and toil, but we get it working. But let me show you how this looks. So if I just delete all of that, which means those reactors were shut down. Oh no, we've already got one there. That's fine. So that's how it looks. Now it's relatively tough. So it's got obviously hardened hardened armor on it. But there we go, that's it. Look at that, it's not swished, isn't it? So you get to the top, and then basically this will be your literally you just walk over that lip and it will grab you down using very small gravity fields, localized gravity fields almost, and you then can walk all the way down. And then the point above it will be where you fly your ships down. So that'll be the open hangar area there. So there we go. We're just starting to delete some of this because I'm realizing that now I've seen how we'll actually enter this area, which is through that portal there. It's not quite right. So I need to really start thinking about how this is going to work. Now, it's not just two-way. You can have bends, you can have 4x4 sections like that, and you can have multiple areas. It really is a lovely, lovely mod. I would highly recommend people go and use it because it is just such a great mod. So what we have here now is effectively the beginnings of our our kind of internal station workings. So what we're going to have to do is place, and now we don't end up leaving them here because these are obviously quite prominent, but my thought is that if I just build multiple gravity generators here, what we can then do is actually just use them to kind of localize the gravity, if that makes sense. Now, at this point, I didn't know about the F11 menu, so I highly urge people to play in private mode when you're doing this. As you can see, that's a bit powerful. But what it should then do is it will give you the ability to really just customize all of the gravity fields entirely. And eventually it makes a lot of sense. So here we go. As we walk up to the thing, we then just walk over it, and then we're walking down it. Isn't that simple? Lucky as well, I must admit. But so there we go. And then all we do is we rinse, repeat that all the way down, and we've then got our entry point into the station, which is pretty awesome. I think you'll agree. Now, gravity fields are something that I think is not the most easy thing to get your head around because the way they describe it doesn't make much sense. Like field width. And you think to yourself, well, surely it's front, back, left, right, up, down. Well, sadly not. No, it's actually a bit more complex than that. But once you get used to it, it's actually surprising how you can customize it. But just being able, because again, in the visualization with that F11 function in private server only, you can actually visualize the field. You can see it. It will actually be shown on the screen. And what that then means is you can completely control the entire thing, if that makes sense. But you can do it this way. This was just a bit of a cheating way to do it. All I did was just drop the field to about 30 meters. So you do get multiple gravities, but that's something you can refine over time. I think that was really the point. Oh, there we go. Not quite right yet. I think it's because we've still got a gravity field there yet. So we had our spherical gravity generator kicking in there. So there you go. As we walk up, you see it's perfectly aligned. A little bit of a gap there, but that's fine. And then as we get to the top, we walk over the lip and we're out. Now, we'll have a stronger gravity field at the top here so that as soon as you pass over that lip, you don't fly away. It'll immediately grab you and put you on the ground. In fact, we've already got one there. So I think really it's just a customization of this. We don't want the depth to be too much on this one. It's almost like that. So see how we've done that? It's like the depth is very, very light. So it doesn't go down effectively that far. It's still not perfect. As you can see, we've got multiple gravity fields acting, but again, this just becomes part of the customization that you could spend days customizing all your gravity fields, but once you've got it, it's pretty satisfying. It is pretty satisfying. So there we go, another example there. So this one, we're just, again, I don't know why I put depth of 40. That's really stupid. There we go. Yep, so there we go. That makes sense. So this is then a thin layer over the whole map. So if I went up 2 blocks, I wouldn't be in gravity anymore. Does that make sense? I mean, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. Just a shout for the skybox. That's Cyan Planet, Cyan Planet. That's a brilliant, brilliant planet. I love it. I think it's probably the best planet planet skybox I've seen. There are some good ones out there, don't get me wrong, but I think I just like that one the most. It really, really appeals to me for some reason. It's just nice. One of the new features as well is blinking lights. So one of the things we're going to try and do is have a lot of blinking lights and things like that. And one of the other things, actually, weirdly enough, does, and I mentioned it in the first video, which was sustainability. So having the ability to, for example, link sensors to lights. So as soon as you walk into a room, the light comes on, and as soon as you leave, it goes off. That's actually what most companies around the world now do because they want to save money. money, and that's the way to do it, because you effectively have, and that saves you uranium. It saves you energy, so your batteries and your station batteries aren't so depleted. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me, but there we go. I think the problem you have is in creative, you kind of got the ability just to put 100 generators down anyway. It doesn't matter, but we are, our desire is to absolutely shift and play this on survival once we've got the means to actually go and mine something. So I do need to build my massive miner once again, which sucks that I've lost it, but at least I have mods to maybe make it better. So I'm looking forward to doing that, because that was always the nicer part of the game, was having that ability to I guess have the ability to be self-sufficient, and at the moment I've lost that completely. But look at that, it's kind of brilliant. So as we march down, so this is now on the incline, but this is now our new plane of if that makes sense in any way, because then our base will now begin to be built downwards from here. So this will be the top point where we dock ships, and then below that will be then the living and the engineering decks, the medical decks, all of this stuff. And with all the mods we've got, we haven't even sort of scratched the surface yet on some of these mods, because there are so many really good mods there as well. I really think, just go and spend a couple of minutes, just literally a couple of minutes, browsing the workshop every day just to see what's out there, because you would be amazed what is coming out. And just so many of them are so good. Even if it's just decoration, the decoration mods are brilliant. I really recommend them. They're just so good. Anyway, so there we go. So that's working relatively well. We do end up refining it. We actually end up putting a huge amount of extra effort into this, but I'll probably do that another time. I think really what I'm keen to show is that with a little bit of quick setup, you can have the ability to move across gravity fields. Now, I guess for me, I've always played this game with a single plane in mind. So if I build a ship, that ship has one level, one plane, if that makes sense, and that's up, down, left, right. So I build my ship to have decks up and down, and so on and so on. But think about it. If you can, you can control the gravity fields entirely. Why not just have it so that you can have, like, the bridge section that then goes into an area that you can then walk up and down, left and right. I mean, spherical gravity is not to be sneezed at as well, because that has real potential to be quite interesting as well. So I think definitely it's worth just experimenting with these things. And this, again, in case in point, is why I'm quite glad I lost my save to a degree. And I haven't even lost it. I could get it. But I'm quite excited. So at some point, we'll probably bring the SquadB flagship to this base here. But right now, I'm not bothered. It can stay there. And I'm quite excited to see what we can do with this base alone. Now, again, the point is, and I'm just going to be very clear with this, I want to get the base to the point where it's a functioning operational base before I switch to survival. You're probably thinking, well, why would you do that? Well, the reality is I want it to be something that I can almost just step into and then build from. I think the building of it, to me, the fun bit for me is this bit, building it, designing it, getting it up and running. I like the idea of welding it all in, but I think I want to do it once I've got, again, I started from absolute scratch, so I wanted to have the ability here to build pretty much from the get-go the other things I want to build. So, I want to build little ships, I want to build stuff like that. So to do that, you need the infrastructure to be there. And because I don't have that, because I lost my save, I've lost everything. I don't have any reserves, I don't have anything really. It just made sense to me to try doing something a bit different. A little bit of it as well is a train set. This is a train set to me. This is building something out there that looks beautiful. Once we start experimenting with the internal lighting as well, you will be gobsmacked with what it turns into. I can only assure you it's going to be impressive. It is going to be impressive, because you'd be amazed what you can do with this game. We're using heavy armor block there just because I'm so sick of every time I land something. These are the landing pads. They're just going to be 3x3 landing pads. They'll be then coloured and lit separately, so that'd be nice. We're going to put motion sensors as well, so as soon as you get near them, they'll light up and then drop down again. It's just simple stuff, really. And there we go. So that's, again, the beginnings of our landing pad, and it's just simple stuff. As you can see, lighting inside this thing is going to be incredibly important. Just look at that, 3 lights already down, and they're like beacons searing into the night. It's pretty incredible when you think about it. I think the reality is it's very difficult to understand how dark this internal asteroid is until you then start to light it and you realize, good God, it's dark in here. We have generally used the normal lighting of, I guess the fluorescent bulb lights, the ones. We'd not use spotlights too much because I actually think spotlights are kind of crap. I think once you get used to the fluorescent bulb things, you would be kind of amazed what actually more you can do with them, because the intensity of them is quite good. So they kind of give a sphere of lighting, whereas I think the spotlights only give literally a spotlight. Even though you can have a wide radius, they don't seem very good, if I'm honest with you. But anyway, we'll see how it goes, because I think my core key aspect here is I really want to I think just have a kind of open area hangar bay here that just then serves as like a, you come in, you land here, you then refuel, you can rearm, all your ammos will be here, all of the, etc. And that's really what we'll do. And then there'll be like a command and control area here. So let's just build that now. So again, using the gantries, or rather the gantry pack, it is just so good. We can have then just an immediate step up from that station area. And then we can immediately build quite a nice little, kind of, I guess, command and control area. Does that make sense? And we'll make it relatively big, because I think this is where, again, we'll have the command and control mod come in. So again, this is, you can see there in 7, 8, and 9, these are kind of specialized, I guess, blocks that really just then give you the ability to have a much nicer feeling control panel area. So, those buttons that they've got in vanilla are terrible, but look at this. That's pretty sweet, isn't it? It looks nice, isn't it? And then you have basically the ability to put multiple different, combinations together. Here, what we're going to do is just have a command chair, and we've got a couple there, as you can see. And then we're just going to probably make that a single thing. Now, every single panel you see here does have an interaction button. So they are useful. They're not just decoration. Each of them you can sit in. But look at that. Look at that. Look at this base. It's pretty cool, isn't it? So already we've got then the ability to see our little base coming together quite nicely. Now, again, the point of this, I mean, that look at that. That only took like 10, 15 minutes to do. And already it's starting to look a little bit, it's kind of looking cool, isn't it? I like it. I think, again, what we wanted to have here was also multiple buttons and access control to the mainframe at any point. That's actually a button. I didn't realize that. I thought that was I guess an access port. Apparently not. So we need to use the normal access port for that, which is that one. The control panel, the single buttoned control panel. Having these things everywhere makes a lot of sense, because at any one point, so if a meteor storm's attacking, you can immediately go to the panel and activate whatever you need to activate. Set your guns going, set your alarm going, whatever it is. Retract, the best one is to retract your solar panels. Actually just get them so instead of looking at the sun, they do a 90-degree turn, and then they're immediately in profile with the sun, so they will fly past it. It's just such a simple idea, but it really does work. And we can make them blink as well, etc., etc. So there's quite a lot of really cool additions here. As you can see, I couldn't actually get them to blink. I think it's because I was not too sure what I was actually doing, but there we go. Usually the interior lights are just so difficult to work out which one's which. As you can see, we've got multiple lights, so I think we're just going to set them all red. I think, again, blinking is not the easiest thing to do, but as we end this video, as we get near to the end, let's just conclude. You've now seen pretty much most of the mods we're using, not all, but a good selection of them. So I think what we'll do is we'll cut there. Next video, so come back next time, because in the next video we will show you this base almost completed, and this represents probably 5-6 days of work after this point here. So literally after this point here, we then continue to hollow out the asteroid and make this a fully armed and operational battle station. And really the desire of this was to make it so that it just works beautifully. And as you can see, our gravity generators also are refined as well. But there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.